Hello people, I'm Sebastian Bridge, and today I'm going to be breaking down the game between Alireza Firouzja and Black. We're going to call him Giga. So the game begins with e4 by Alireza and c5 from Giga. This is known as a Sicilian defense. This prevents white from playing the move d4. Knight f3, this is going for a more open Sicilian. You're building up the move d4. e6. In this position, this is known more of as a French Sicilian d4. C takes d4, knight takes d4, and a6. This is known as the Con Sicilian. This is basically just kind of imagine the Najdorf just instead of the pawn on d6. You know what? Never mind. How about we just don't use that example? This is just known as the Con Sicilian. I've never played this opening. I've never studied it. I don't know why you do that. Bishop to d3, just developing it, opposed to a move like bishop c4, which can be hit with somewhat the move which can be both hit with the move d5 and b5. So that's why he did not develop his bishop to c4. So bishop d3, and since I already drew these arrows, which kind of give it away, yes. g6, going for the bishop fianchetto on g7, and going down this long diagonal. Knight c3, developing his knight towards the center. Bishop to g7, attacking this knight on d4. Bishop e3, defending his knight on on d4. Bishop to e7, knight e7, possibly building up the move d5 and going for short castles. Queen d2, going for a battery and going for a battery down this diagonal and long castles in the future. Short castles from white, and knight f3. The idea of knight f3 was I can now move this bishop without my knight being taken for free. In this position, if you play here, you can just take the knight for free. That's why he moved that. So the move knight f3, as I already said. d5, going for a trade of pawns. Bishop h6, going for a trade of this bishop and getting his queen more in the game. Knight c6 and h5 and h4. Knight c6 is developing. h4 is going for a big attack down the king side. D takes e4, knight takes e4, getting his knight centralized. Queen a5, going for a queen trade. And yes, the b2 pawn is, technically speaking, hanging. c3, blocking off this bishop from this diagonal and preventing the queen trade from happening. Knight e5, going for this queen trade, going for this knight trade. Excuse me. Going for this knight trade. Bishop takes g7, knight takes f3 check. This is an in-between move, damaging white's pawn structure, but at the same time giving white the open g-file. King takes g7 and h5. Idea is if you take this, I will eventually get my rook on one of my rooks, probably this a rook after long castles, to the g1 square with check. So knight g8. Honestly, I have no idea why Giga played this move. Long castles from Alireza e5. Giga's just trying to get his pawn in the center. H takes g6. F takes g6 is best to open up this. Bishop c4 now. Developing it, getting it more active. Queen c7, attacking this in this brilliant move. Queen g5. Idea, if you take this, check, only move is king f7, and this check, which is also a fork, and mate. So, yeah. Bishop f5, preventing that mate and fork. So now you have to So now you have to move your bishop. Never mind. Alireza says, move my bishop, really? No. And this brilliant move, rook takes f7 check. Two brilliant moves. King h7. King h7. And look at that. Just bringing in his other rook to rook h1 for rook h1 check. King g7. And look at that. Queen h4 check. Sorry, queen h4. Rook f7, giving his rook a square to actually escape to from this check. King to f8. Bishop takes f7. Queen takes f7. Another knight goes to h7. Just this time it cannot be taken safely. Queen to e6. Queen g7 check. King e8. Rook d6 check. Undefended. Going for this. Here. Queen f7 check. And like the game with Ding, this is unstoppable mate. Idea? If he goes king d8, this move, this, and it's mate. You just got ladder mated. So that was the game that made Alireza from an IM to an GM. So congrats. Currently Alireza is going around number 8, I'm pretty sure, in the world. So yeah, thank you all for watching this video if you got this far. And yeah. Have a good day, good afternoon, or good night, depending on your time zone.